All right, welcome everyone. My name is Ryan Knight. One of the wait, I'm not sharing my screen. Let me see. All right, welcome to presentation about funding and grant opportunities. My name is Ryan Knight. I'm here in partnership with the Empowered for X. All right, real quick, just Zoom etiquette. Feel free to change your name just in case it says Zoom user or iPhone or Samsung. Uh, no obligation to turn on your camera, but if you're asking a question, feel free. And if you did have questions, you could always raise your hand and we'll get to your question. And then, of course, we'll be respectful to each other and feel free to use the chat. That way, if you do have a question and you want to save it to the end, you can put the question in the chat and we'll get to it. And as the presentation is going, mute the mic. And then once you have a question, we'll call on you and you can unmute. We do want to acknowledge also the First Peoples of traditional land. I would like to begin by acknowledging the indigenous peoples of all the lands that we're on today. While we meet today on a virtual platform, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the lands which we all call home. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improving our own understanding of local indigenous peoples and their cultures. From coast to coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of all Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people that do call this land home. Please join me in a moment of reflection to acknowledge the effect of residential schools and colonialism on Indigenous families and communities, and to consider how we are and can each in our own way try to move forward in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. All right, a bit about Empowered for X. So it is a physical co-working space in Brampton with satellite offices in other areas of Canada, such as Ottawa, Scarborough, and Hamilton. We are committed to supporting entrepreneurs and especially social entrepreneurs as well. That includes nonprofits trying to start businesses and for-profits that are running social enterprise to be performance leaders so you can amplify the difference that you make. We have a few training programs, namely our social enterprise certification program. We do have a mental health standard certification as well, mental health supporting youth certification, and we have Grant Hunter University, which we'll talk a bit more about later, where you can learn how to create a grant blueprint for yourself and your organization or your business that you can use for any grant that you go after in the future. As mentioned, we have a physical location in Brampton, but also you can get a virtual business address in Brampton, Scarborough, and Ottawa. We do offer consultancy services to execute things that you might need, whether it's marketing, grant writing, technology builds, management operations, and also building out your business plan. And we do have a promotional live show called BizGrams. So if you do want to feature yourself or your organization or your business, definitely connect with us. Actually, send an email to connect@empoweredforx.com and we'll get you on the show. Oh, sorry, let me grab some water. So this is our spectrum of services that we do offer, ranging from DIY, which is doing it yourself, coming to these free info sessions, or going through at your own pace to Grant Hunter University. We offer doing funding summaries for you, doing the blueprint for you ourselves, or reviewing any grants that you have that you've already written. And we also do grant writing working groups. So we find grants that we do want to work through, and as a group, we would go through each question together. And then on our other side of the spectrum, modify. So making others do it for you with our grant writing services, where we take that off your plate and actually write the grants for you. So that service is available as well. We do have some upcoming events. One, namely the grant writing info sessions that happens monthly. We're going to have a couple of working groups with some of the grants that currently exist. We actually did these two already. So the main ones will be the working groups. So we'll let you know which ones are coming up. We have the monthly networking event with Jelly Social, and we have our Building Wealth Financial Literacy series in partnership with ACBN, the Afro-Caribbean Business Network, on the last Wednesday of each month. And we always want to say thank you to our valued partners, ranging from Alternative Savings to SETC, which is the social economy through social inclusion, Sheridan College and their EDGE program, which is the entrepreneurship discovery and growth engine, the Calabash Network which is a cooperative of expert service providers and consultants, ZSC, which is one of our business advisory partners, Dream Legacy Foundation, which runs the Black Innovation Fellowship. So if you're a Black tech founder, they have a great program in partnership with the DMZ. One Full Circle, which is similar to what ACBN does in Ontario, but based in Montreal, and Toronto Community Benefits Network. Shout out to Rosemary Powell, who's been a big supporter of ACBN and Empowered Forex since the beginning, and we always appreciate that. So the agenda, you'll meet the facilitator, which is myself, and we'll do an overview of available grants and loans, and then we'll give a recap on how we can help. I would love to hear from you on what you're working on. So a bit about myself as a facilitator today. Do consider myself a serial social entrepreneur. I run a social enterprise called Detailing Nights, which provides mobile waterless car cleaning. So we go to people's houses or their offices, clean their cars on the spot without using water, and our plant-based eco-friendly cleaning supplies. We have a social enterprise consultancy firm called Service Kingdom, which helps for-profit companies operate more like a social enterprise, so having a bigger positive impact on the community or reducing their impact on the environment, and also for nonprofits to help create income generating activities through either social finance, social franchising, or just creating revenue generating products. Executives Power Up, which helps businesses get prepared to scale up their companies. So typically they need a stronger team in their C-suite. So we help to match team members into their companies to make them more investable. And Black Panther's Cage, think of Dragon's Den or Shark Tank, but with Black founders pitching to Black investors. So that's one of the TV show projects that we're working on. I did mention briefly that I'm co-founder of the Afro-Caribbean Business Network and part of the Empowered Forex business crew, and really just existing to help businesses increase your capacity so you can create an asset to help you grow your generational wealth. A bit about ACBN, the Afro-Caribbean Business Network, was created just over 6 years ago, and really it was to fill a gap that I was seeing as an entrepreneur myself with Detailing Nights, looking at growing and franchising across Canada and into the US, and realizing that there weren't any Black focused business organizations that could help with that mandate to scale up companies. So we brought 6 other entrepreneurs together, said, could we create this entity that would sit down with the business owner, figure out what stage their company is in, and then help them create a strategy to grow their companies exponentially. And thus ACBN was born. We used to start with more networking and info sessions and networking. But then we realized a lot of entrepreneurs needed support with capacity building. So we have started like a microloan program. We support with marketing and sales, and that's in partnership with Empowered Forex. And over the past 6 years, we've engaged with close to 6,000 Black entrepreneurs. We're seeing a majority of them are female entrepreneurs, and typically the people in our database are the business founders or the CEOs. And what we're really proud of is being able to partner with other Black focused business organizations, now part of the Black entrepreneurship ecosystem, which is a federally funded program. There's over 40 of these organizations that have come together to support Black businesses across Canada. And some of the pillars that we do stand on, of course, entrepreneurship. I feel entrepreneurship is one of the best tools that we have to support building generational wealth with limited barriers to entry and unlimited upside. it creates a way for community economic empowerment and being able to use it to support the community in creating more revenue and also understanding how to build for the next generation, building an asset that you can leave behind. Convening is important, of course, as we are convening online, but sometimes in person with our networking events. But it's also that we can get together and share notes. And the notes that we're sharing today is about access to funding. And one of the tools that we had created in partnership with Alterna Savings was a microloan fund. But today we're talking more about different grants that are out there and also some of the other loan programs as well. So I'd like to put up this slide just to give you an idea of the different types of funding that we've received in the past. And we actually have to update it because we were successful with a different grant that's going to be coming online soon. But it ranges from pitch competitions to grants from the city, grants from the province or from the federal level, and also contributions from corporations, whether sponsorships or donations. And again, as low as $500 all the way up to over $1 million, we've been successful, and everything in between. Really wanted to show this because there's so many different types of grants and funding programs that are out there. And for myself, I don't consider myself an academic grant writer. I more consider myself a grant hunter. So looking at anything and everything that we do qualify for and making sure that we get our application in has been kind of the strategy, and we've seen some success with it. So what we do with these info sessions is to make sure you know kind of what's out there, and then hopefully get that application in. And if there's anywhere that you get stuck, letting you know that we do exist to help you get unstuck. And so beyond us getting access to funding, we love to show the other organizations that we've been able to help get access to funding as well, whether it's Rescue Youth International, a nonprofit that was able to start their own social enterprise and qualify for the investment readiness program, to Custodia, which is on the other side of the spectrum, a for-profit company that was operating a social enterprise, and them not realizing that they could qualify for the investment readiness program. They were able to get their application in and were successful. And then also New Life Project, which is a nonprofit in Ottawa, again, busy doing the work, not having the time to actually research and write applications. We were able to work alongside them and help them get access to funding. But beyond just an organization writing the grant for themselves, we've been able to partner with organizations so that we could either be a trustee for like Seventh Adventist Church. We were able to trustee funds that they were receiving as a grant applicant, and also including other organizations in applications that we've already been doing. So like Youth Village, when we were doing our grant, they were able to be a partner in our grant. So as they're starting up their nonprofit, they now can work with us so they have a bit of funding to hit the ground running instead of starting from scratch. A few things that we do to help entrepreneurs and nonprofit leaders get prepared: the business plan blueprint. Again, we can support business owners with getting that business plan done. And also the grant writing blueprint, which is what we do in Grant Hunter University. So being able to walk you through the process of, I would say, majority of grants, the questions that they're going to ask you are the same, maybe 80% the same. So the blueprint helps you get all those questions answered up front. Then when you do find a grant that you want to go for, you're able to use those questions and use those answers to answer the question in the application. So you're not always starting from scratch. And I found this to be really helpful, especially with Detailing Nights. We were trying to get grants probably since 2013, 2014, when we started the youth program. So we were doing the work, but not getting the grants and not being successful. And it helped us to partner with a nonprofit. And then also we brought in a grant writer just to review what we had been submitting every year. And after we were successful, that grant became the blueprint for all the other grants that we wrote in the future. And so using that same thought process is now getting those questions answered up front so that any grant you see, you're able to get the application in without starting from scratch and feeling overloaded. So one thing to touch on, and actually before I click on this one, I did want to show you one of the spreadsheets that we do have, and I'll put it into the chat so you can follow along as well. Let's see. So funding the Ryan. So if you go to this website, it'll allow you to get access to this spreadsheet. And this spreadsheet is where we do our best to keep it as up to date as possible so that any grants or loan programs that are out, we're able to follow along and update the spreadsheet so that you're able to know about it and apply. So one page you'll see called the grant portals, you're able to use these websites and platforms to answer a few questions about your business or your nonprofit. And then it pretty much scrapes the information from the federal database. So the business benefits finder is federal level. Happily does it across different corporation grants and federal and provincial. And then Hello Pocket is similar to Happily, where it'll find tax credits and grants. So you're able to sign up on these websites. And actually, I'll show this one real quick. So the business benefits finder. And you're able to answer questions about your organization or your business. So you can go through, let's say we're looking for support for up to 250,000. We want to grow and expand. Oh, we also want to hire. So let's see if we get any things to help with hire. Next, tell a little bit about where you're at. So we're in Southern Ontario and we're in the education field and education. They want to know kind of how many employees, revenue size. Where are we? Just think we clicked 500. We're incorporated. We are a nonprofit. And the types of entities that own the nonprofit, well, I mean, that run the nonprofit. I wouldn't say own and 40. Yeah. And then typically I show all programs, but if you only want to see those that are open right now, you can click on only programs accepting clients. But typically I want to see everything that exists and then keep an eye on it. So when it is open, you can go for it. So this is where certain grants that are available right now. So the MyTax one helps with hiring research grads or recent grads that can help with research projects. Let's see, Ontario Job Creation. I've never heard of the Grid Innovation, Financial for Electricity Conservation Innovation. Let's see, Canada Ontario Job Grant. So this has been a great one if you're looking to train employees so that they can become more productive. And something that we've used it for is training new hires. So you're able to put new hires through specific training. You can get up to 100% of the cost of that training back and up to $10,000 per employee. They go through the training, and then when they are hired onto the company, they're now more prepared to be, I would say, to have a strong return on investment for what you're paying them. A lot of times when we hire employees, there's that whole training period where you're really not making money for the company. And then it takes you a long time to get your return on investment. So I just wanted to say. All right. So some of the other ones, let's see, enabling accessibility, inclusive diversification. I guess in the territories, other interesting funding to plant trees. That's interesting. My Main Street was one that used to be open. So if you had a brick and mortar location, you're able to get up to $20,000 to support the growth of your business. The can export one is excellent. If you're looking to do business outside of Canada, you're able to get up to 75. Actually, if I click on it, it gives a breakdown. So this one is where Nonprofits can apply for 500,000 to attract, retain, and expand their foreign direct investments. Also, this is a different division of CanExport that I had not seen before. You can get 50% of eligible expenses. It does show it's not currently open, but I am going to look into this one just to see more about it. The other one that I'm more familiar with is for businesses that are looking to do like to operate outside of Canada. So you're able to get up to 75,000 in order to do research in those locations. So if you're going into the US and let's say a specific state and you need to go to like a trade show or you need to do a marketing plan or research for that new country, you're actually able to get a grant to cover the cost of going or doing the research to go into that new country. And then you can work with the Trade Commissioner's Service to then start operating there. So things to keep in mind. And again, this link I'll put into the chat just so you have it as well. But it is on the spreadsheet. So if you go to funding.ryanO'neillknight.com, you're able to get access to the spreadsheet. I will touch on some of the for-profit grants that we've seen that are, I'd say, good to keep an eye on. Some of them are closed, but they typically open on a like on a cycle. So when you're in the spreadsheet, using it as a way to, one, keep an eye on something. Two, we also I was trying to score them, but something that Happily does that I liked. So this website, Happily, I'll put this into the chat as well. Let me see if I remember my login here. Hopefully it's saved. Yes. So the thing I liked about Happily, and let me go to where it shows the funding, view my opportunities. So it shows you how difficult or what to expect when writing this grant. So you can see something that's quick that might take less than 2 hours, or something that's moderately difficult, takes about 5 hours, up to federal stuff that might take 10 plus hours. So, oh, it looks like, is this one open? Let's see, the TELUS grant. So the TELUS one I'm fond of because it's a grant that I had gotten in the past. So if it is showing that they are accepting again, let's see, we'll view the program's website and see if this has opened up again. Let's see. So it does say apply now. So let's make sure that this is actually open. All right, so excellent. So let me put this into the chat. I definitely want to update the spreadsheet that this one is active. Hopefully that link works. But they're doing something similar. So they have 5 grand. Holy crow. So this is a big jump from before. Hold on. So before the grand prize was 20,000, and I believe 5 people got 20,000 and 10 got 10,000 or somewhere in there. Now they have 5 grand prize winners that are going to receive 200,000. I'm curious how this breaks down. Maybe we'll scroll through and see how it breaks down. And 15 finalists will receive 20,000 in support and funding. So typically there's a split. It's like 10,000 cash, 10,000 in items. Hold on, if we click here, we can kind of see. So, okay, here we go. So this $200,000 in prizing, you get 50,000 in cash, you get 110,000 worth in advertising, 25,000 in technology, and $10,000 package in well-being, their TELUS Health well-being package. And the 15 finalists get 10,000 in funding and 10,000 in technology. So this was something that I was successful with in the past. So I would encourage you to write this grant. And that's why it's key to be on platforms like Happily, because they might get information quicker than our team, or they're supposed to be using AI to, scrape the internet. So it'll keep you up to date. And this deadline is September the 4th. So stay tuned that we would be doing a working group for this grant that we've done in the past. Some of the other grants to keep in mind, something like the BBPA BAIDS program, where you're able to get services for your business done without having to come out of pocket. So if you need a business plan or your accounting done or help with legal, you're able to get connected with those service providers and they would do the work for you. So for example, they would do your business plan and then they would invoice the BBPA directly. So you would get your business plan done and not have to come out of pocket to pay for it. Things that were in the past, Digital Main Street, their Shop Here program was really good where they would build a Shopify store for you. That one is closed at the moment, but keep an eye on it because I did hear that they got funding renewed to extend it for at least 3 years. So it should be coming back soon. My Main Street, I had talked about where you can get up to 20,000 for brick and mortar businesses that were close to main streets. The starter company programs are starting up again. I did see the Brampton starter company program was taking or doing their info sessions. So actually, let's see if it's updated on their website. And they have upcoming seminars. Yes. So June, tomorrow, they're doing their, oh no, that's a vendor training. They're supposed to be doing their info sessions for the actual starter company program. So I'll check for when their next info session is, but I'll put this link into the chat. Hopefully we didn't miss it, but they were accepting applications for the starter company where you're able to get up to $5,000. You get business training, and Mississauga does it, Toronto does it. So they're done through the business entrepreneur centers. So typically the business entrepreneur centers are part of the economic development office at the city. So check with your city if they do have a business entrepreneur center and they ask them when they're going to be doing their starter company program. Some of the nonprofit grants that we did want to highlight, Alterna Savings, they have their community grants, FedDev has a grant, and that was part of the announcement that we were going to be making in the future, letting people know about these types of grants that FedDev has. We've been funded through FedDev 3 times, and so a lot of times it's overlooked. So we definitely want to keep an eye on funding programs that FedDev has. Actually, I'll open up this one just so you can get an idea of the one that they have open right now. So this is for funding for organizations that help businesses grow in Southern Ontario, and that's for nonprofit organizations. But they also have, and it was on this slide here, so the FedDev one for-profit companies. Oh wait, did I put the same link for both? Lord have mercy. Let me go back here. So the funding for businesses, oh, and this one is closing soon. So you definitely want to keep an eye on this one. So for businesses, and this is closing June the 24th, they're able to offer a contribution with 0 interest. So it's not, you see it's a no interest repayable contribution between 125,000 up to 10 million. So with the nonprofit, they offer non-repayable contribution between 125,000 up to 10 million. So for nonprofit, it does act more as a grant. For profits, they call it a contribution that you do have to repay. So keep that in mind. But if you are looking for capital, having no interest and a longer term to pay it back does work out. And some of the projects that they're looking for, so they want to see support in clean tech and economic growth. They want to see support with growth companies that can hire more people and injecting more technology and also an industrial transition. So projects that support in traditional sectors to adopt new technologies and offer innovations to improve their competitiveness. So if that sounds like you definitely want to touch base with this one. So again, these were the for-profit ones. Some of the other tabs that we do have do include loan programs, whether it's microloans, whether it's traditional business loans such as FACE or the Black Opportunity Fund and other bank-focused Black entrepreneur programs. So RBC has one, CIBC, and the list goes on. But also we're trying to do a better job of identifying different investment entities that can support with not just giving a loan, but also investing into your company. So ACBN, we're part of NACO, which is the National Association of Capital, oh my gosh, Capital Organizations. Yes. And so we're putting together that list of different angel groups to see how they can support the business that you're running and also different venture groups. We're going to be working to fill out this list and the contact information if you're looking for that type of investment as well. We also want to improve our connections with different foundations. So not just the Foundation for Black Communities, which recently had a grant, but also other foundations across Canada and how they can support your organization as well. Research grants have been grants that have been something hard to navigate, but once you understand the process, it becomes something that is recurring because a lot of times the federal government and even through universities and colleges, they're always doing research or wanting research to be done. So something like what we did with Sheridan College, where we partner with their research department and then put in grants, could be something that you can look at as well. And various arts grants, again, because I'm not in the art space, we haven't really looked too deep into some of the arts grants, but they are there and we want to get better at applying for these. So something through the Canada Arts Council, and some different cities also have art councils as well. Ontario Creates, the Interactive Digital Media Fund, and like Toronto has an arts council. I believe Mississauga has one, or maybe that's Peel that handled Mississauga and Brampton. So these are other opportunities that you can look at as well. So let me jump back to the presentation just to make sure I don't miss anything. All right, so we touched on a few of the different grants for-profits, the BBPA, Black Opportunity Fund, we touched on. Digital Main Street should be coming back soon. Starter Company, which is open in some of the cities, but summer companies, something to keep in mind for youth that we know in the community that might have an idea for a business. Encourage them to apply for a summer company because that allows them to get up to $3,000 to operate a business in the summer. And the CASEL grant, I believe that is open again. Let's see. Yes, but I want to see how much are they giving. So this time, the total grants are going to be up to $100,000. And CASEL, I believe, has done this 4 times. Either this is the 3rd time or the 4th time, and they're accepting applications from Toronto, Vancouver, and Calgary. So I'll put this link in the chat as well, so you can check it out. All right. So we mentioned some of the nonprofit fund. The Social Finance Fund is still in process. So they're working through the wholesalers getting the money from the government, and the wholesalers are going to pick intermediaries. And those intermediaries are going to create the criteria that we would apply to if we're running a social enterprise. So once that criteria is released, we will let you know. But right now, it's still in process. And the Ontario Trillium Foundation, who does focus on nonprofits, but there's ways to partner with nonprofits so that you can actually work on grants together. But they are open right now for their seed grants, and you'll see it's on their homepage. But I'll show you when you hover over our grants and check out their community investment grants. So the Youth Opportunities Fund was one that we had talked about previous. It'll be coming back in the fall. But right now, their community investment grants seed grant is open. It is due June the 26th, and you can get a maximum of $100,000 for up to 12 months. So I'll put this one into the chat as well. And any working groups that we're going to be doing about this, stay tuned for that so we can work through the actual application. All right. As I mentioned, the loan programs, whether it's microloans that are done through ACBN or Alterna or Access Community Capital Fund and Rise Asset Development, Meridian now has an accelerated loan that goes up to 100,000, and the Black Opportunity Fund has a line of credit program up to 50,000. And here are some of the other banks that have loan programs specific to the Black community. So I typically say reach out to all. If you're looking for capital and there's a loan program that gives out that amount of capital, reach out to as many of them and see who will get you to the finish line faster. I would not have any allegiance to any specific bank, although it is good to start at the bank that you do bank with right now. So if you're banking at RBC, go talk to them and let them know that you're interested in this program. If they're taking a while to get back to you, I would start touching base with all the other banks as well. So just before I close and open it up to Q&A, remember, if you hear all of this, you're interested, and it's a lot of work to do the grant writing yourself because your bandwidth is low, remember, we do offer this service. So reach out to Empowered Forex. I'll put our email address in the chat. So send an email to connect@empoweredforex.com. And this is something that we can support you with to make sure that you do not get stuck. But if you want to walk through the process of writing a grant and you do have time to learn it, or you want to put your team members through or your staff through a way to learn how to research and write grants, I would encourage them to sign up for Grant Hunter University. It's typically $1,500, but because you come into the info session, it would be $297. So probably a good time to sign up for it if you want help with understanding how to write grants and kind of going through the methodology that I use. So we take a lot of the templates and the worksheets that we use to write grants and put them into this course so that you can use it as a template so you can write your grants a lot easier. All right. So to give you an idea, if you wanted to offload the grant writing services, we support with grants at different operating budgets. So depending on how big your operating budget is, it can range from as low as $1,500 up to $25,000. And per grant, you would typically see it range between 1,500, sometimes up to 3,000 or 4,000, again, depending on how complex the grant is. And we also offer grant application reviews, so between 300 to 1,500. And something like a review is something you would get if you do join Grant Hunter University. So again, an effective cost savings there. But if you are interested to learn more, let me see if I can grab this link and put it into the chat, just in case you don't have your phone with you to scan the QR code. This link would take you to our form, and that form will allow you to fill out a bit about what you're working on, and then we'll connect you with one of our team members to help you with actually seeing how we can support you best to get grants completed. All right, so I'll skip that. And I believe that is the presentation. So let me pull this down so that we can answer any questions that anyone might have. All right. So yeah, I did see a question in the chat just talking about how do I become part of the working group? So the links for the working groups will be provided shortly. We're actually determining which grant we're actually going to write, and then we'll send out about the working group to sign up with. But beyond that, was there any other questions?
My hand up. I have a question.
Sure.
All examples are Quebec. And while you were talking, I quickly, for example, went to look at FEDEV for Quebec, for Ontario, and I saw that they do have for Quebec. But my challenge is wanting to work with Ontario And because I'm getting good guidance and support more over being here in Quebec. So I don't know how to go about, for example, when you're doing your group work, I would like to be a part of that group, but how will it affect my outcome because I'm in a different place and most of the things being applied for are about Ontario. So would I need to look for a similar? I don't know. I need your answer. I'm not sure where to go from here.
Yeah, and connecting with our sister organization, One Full Circle, because they do similar work that we do in Ontario. So Farrell there, he'd be a good person to connect
I'm
with.
sorry.
Yes.
I do not have, and I don't like to speak badly of any group,
Hmm.
but 2 or 3 or 4 years ago, when they were setting up some programs, I
Mhm.
went in full speed, full willing. I joined the organization, and it turned out that they wanted ideas, but they didn't want you. And I just don't just mean me,
Okay.
because there are many others who I know one person who owns a technology business who set up their whole website for them, hoping that in long term there would be a continued relationship. So unfortunately, I will not do that.
Mhm.
And so this is one of our problems also is when do we get out of the ego thing and become the collective thing so that everyone can participate willingly and joyfully to whatever it is we're doing. I will not go to that I'm sorry.
Mhm.
And it's not just me alone. There are a lot of us who have gone and left.
And that's unfortunate, but to answer your question, so ACBN doesn't do direct work in Quebec. We do it through our partner organizations. So that would be a conversation that I think is good to have to see how we can, because we weren't, I would say, partnered in that way before, where we supported the grant writing with for their members. So I would always revisit conversations like this. I wouldn't dismiss it because to answer your question, if we want to get grant writing support in Quebec, that's how we've started to do it. But I can definitely understand if there's been, not the best experience in the past. It might make you hesitant to work with certain organizations. But so far, that's our link to Quebec.
Understood.
Yeah.
And I respect that. And
Right.
as I said, I leave it where it is. I just keep searching. Other groups may come up that are okay. So I will see what else is there and to try. But it's unfortunate. There's just a long negative history around this particular organization. And as I said, I'm not here to put any group down, but there are too many of us walking away from that organization. The king is the king, and that's it. If you will let the king run the show and you just crawl behind and bow to the king all the time, it's okay. But as long as you're trying to participate, there's not that level of partnership participation. I don't see it, and it's not just me alone. And I'm sad because it's a beautiful young man, and I was hoping that he was coming with a different ways of doing things so that we can all pull together as a group. And I'm done.
All right. Yeah, appreciate the perspective. And I did see a question. How long is the 297 offer available? It'll probably go to the end of the week. I'll confirm that and we'll send out an email just to let you know when it would be ending. And just also checking, were there any other questions about anything that we touched on or that you might be working on? I see a question for the Black Entrepreneurship Fund. Do we have to meet any requirements for it? So it depends which fund you're talking about because there's different elements of it, either through the FACE Coalition or directly through the banks. Typically, they're all looking for your business plan, your cash flow projections to be completed. It helps to have revenue and that you're actually making money. They do fund some like startup companies, but typically they're looking at how have you been making sales and what are your projections going forward. Credit score is important as well. I believe 650 is typically the minimum that the FACE Coalition and the banks are using. Some of the other ones, like the Black Opportunity Fund, goes down to about 620. Our microloan goes down to, well, below 600. So usually if you can't get funded at those ones, you're able to come to ours, but ours only goes up to 10,000 max. So, and how can we register for the offer? Oh, so how can we register for the offer? Oh, yes. Let me try and grab that link. Oh, I don't have the link. Shresti, do you have the link to the Grant Hunter University sign-up page?
Just a second. I'll put it in a group.
Thank you, thank you. And is this all online training and for how long? Yeah, so I believe there's 4 modules. So you'd go at your own pace. It can be done within a couple days, or if you do 1 per day, it'll take about 4 days. All right. And Rob,
Hi, hi,
oh,
Sophie. It's just best I just speak. So for the training, how you said 4 days. How long would you have access to the portal for?
oh, you get lifetime access.
Oh, okay. And then you also get coaches, right?
Right, exactly. So if you have questions, you're able to ask at any time.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And I did see a hand up. Marian, did you want to go ahead?
My question is, even though we do not have that collaboration of other things, if we wanted to have a grant done, could we still ask your organization based on your what you just showed us there on the different ratings of how much it costs for each grant? Would you?
Yes. Oh, sorry. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yes, I'm finished. I just want to
Oh,
know if that is open to Quebec, to us here in Quebec, if we wanted that opportunity to use your organization as the means of getting our grant written.
yes. So that service is available. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
No worries. And I do see the link for Grant Hunter University is in the chat. So,
And Ryan, I saw the question at the start of the session. It says, it's from Deborah. It says, I have an event coming up and want to speak to someone so they can speak to the group. So I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yes,
If they
yes, this is a great one, but it's not everyone who is aware. I have a group of Black men coming together,
mhm.
and this would have been fantastic to have someone, speak to them. But we can take this
Yeah,
offline.
yeah, for sure. And I'll put my email into the chat
Okay,
as well.
thank you.
Always happy to share that. Sweet, sweet. Any other questions from those either specific to what you're working on or anything that I covered? Otherwise, feel free to enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And I really do appreciate you taking time to be with us and be present. But this is more of an intro. We kind of like to let you know about what is out there. And then wherever you see that something fits, touch base with us and we'll help you work through it.